Hey,
What's going on, bro?
you can hear me fine?
Okay, okay.
Uh, Hey everyone, welcome to the show, everybody. If there's any questions you want to ask in the chat, feel free, everybody. You can ask whatever you want on here, everybody. Just type it in the chat. Don't put it in the questions. Just type it right in the comment section and all that. All right, everybody. Now, I would just like to welcome my guest, right? The third world champion from Long Island, Jamel Hearing, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause for him. Am I right?
Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you for having me again.
Well, it's always great to have you. That first time was awesome.
Thank you.
So now I'm gonna ask you a few questions, right? Nothing like crazy, but so tell me, right? Tiafimo versus Shakur. What'd you think of that fight?
Um, crazy. Like I said, I always knew how good Shakur was. Of course, like I said, I shared the ring with him. I've been around him. I trained with him a few times, and I'm very close to Teofimo. But Shakur played. He did it was a masterful performance. You know what I mean? Can't take anything from Shakur. That was a masterclass performance. He did his thing. It was pretty much a shutout. But again, what I'm saying, Shakur is just a special. He's a special type of fighter.
Tia looked slow though on his feet.
Um, yeah, but again, like I said, Shakur just has that ability to make anybody look bad at the end of the day. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? There were like Tio did have his moments when he tried to step on the gas, but then again, Shakur always had an answer for everything that he was throwing at him. So it was just, what I'm saying, it was just Shakur's night, and not taking, don't take anything from Shakur's performance. I'm saying Tio is a great fighter in his own right. Shakur is just, like I said, it's just a different type of breed.
So on that card, right? What did you think about some of the other fights? We had Keyshawn Davis versus Jermaine Ortiz. That was a good
Right.
fight.
Oh yeah. I mean that was a good fight. Started out a bit slow. But Keyshawn closed it out with a good a knockout to the, what I'm saying, stoppage to the body with a good body shot. Keyshawn basically had an answer for everything that Jermaine was throwing him as well. Like I said, I've sparred with Keyshawn in the past in camps. I've obviously, I fought with Jermaine, both good individuals in their own rights. But just again, Keyshawn, another one, man, and I'm glad to see him back in the ring because he had a crazy 2025, of course. But he started out the year with a whole new perspective, a whole new team behind him, and he looked good.
Now, what'd you think about Austin Williams versus Wendy Toussaint?
Um, I didn't really couldn't get into that one. You know what I mean? Couldn't really get into that one really, but it wasn't bad. It was more of a chess match. You know what I'm saying? But nothing really stood out. But again, it was a good fight. Don't get me wrong, but it's just nothing like I can really say really stood out in that fight, in my opinion.
Well, after seeing that fight, right now, Carlos Adams versus Austin Williams is going to be happening soon. So, what do you think about that fight coming up?
Yeah, I think I like Amo. Amo's a real good guy. He's a real good guy. He's a real good fighter. Obviously, Adamas is the champ. He's been around. He's a veteran in the game. Again, like with Austin, his last fight again, I think he could have just probably pressed on the gas a little bit more to get this guy out of there. Like it wasn't a bad performance, but again, when he had his moments, it's like he kind of he took a step foot up the gas a bit, and kind of like backtracked at times. So again, when you fight a world champion, you obviously have to take it to a different level. So I would like to see him, learn from that fight and go, take it to a different level when he does get the Diamonds fight. So again, both good fighters, but I know, like, if he wants to be champion, he's definitely got to take it to another level. But I believe he has the arsenal. He definitely has the arsenal. He just got to put it all together.
And with Austin Williams, right, when he fought Wendy Toussaint, a Long Island guy, no less, and I just didn't like the fact, right, every time you, like, take a step forward, he would drop his hands, like, right here and just press. And, like, every time I would say he threw his jab, it would be, like,
He's throwing
this
from the
time.
shoulder. He's throwing from the shoulders, and that's what he's getting countered. You know what I mean? And he's dropping the other hand at the same time. So those are just bad habits. But those are, obviously bad habits that fighters over time just kept doing, and they haven't corrected it. That's why it becomes bad habits. But again, he was tough. He hung in there. He could have easily checked out. He could have easily checked out early in the fight when he was getting pressed. But he hung in there, and he, what I'm saying, he did what he could. But again, what I'm saying, Ammo is just it's different. It's a different type of fighter. He's been in there with obviously the better class in his own right. But it's all learning. If you learn from it, you can always come back and change the course of your own career. He's still in charge of his own career. So a loss doesn't define, what he can do in the future.
Now, I looked at the fight, right? I thought, because Wendy has a punch, right? I've seen him spar in the past, right? Now, that fight, listen, I saw her sparring with Wendy, right?
Right.
This sparring session, he was going so good, right? Like, it was good. He sparred my brother. I was like, why did he not fight like that? I guess it takes
It's
some
different. It's
fighters.
different under the bright lights at times, man. Sparring is one thing. I mean, sparring is the closest thing you will get to a fight. But again, when you play, because that was a big card. I mean, that was a big card. It was a big opportunity. Who knows? Like I said, they always say it's different when you're under those bright lights. So that could have been it. Maybe, I'm not making any excuses for him, but maybe, saying he probably didn't feel right during the fight week, maybe with the weight cut. It could have been a lot of factors in there that went into it. But again, you take it as a lesson learned. You look back on the film and you go back to the drawing board and you try to make the correct corrections with moving forward with your career. So who knows? But like I said, let's just wait and see how he looks the next time around.
Wendy said he just needed more time and then he could beat him.
I mean, again, with boxing, sometimes that window opportunity is real short. You know what I mean? So when you get there, you got to make the most of it, because who knows when he'll ever get an opportunity like that again. And then who knows if they'll try to bring him back as the opponent. So maybe he has to be placed in tougher fights as he moves along. So it's just one of the things how boxing is, man. So like when you get those opportunities, you got to make the most of it. You can't say that you didn't have enough time, because at the end of the day, you still chose to take the fight respectfully. You know what I mean? So, and these promoters and managers, they don't want to hear that. So again, if they put you an opportunity like that, you got it. You know what I'm saying? They actually they might believe in you that you could have made made a better fight going into that fight. Especially if your manager went out there and got the fight for you. So again, you can't say that after the fact that, if I had more time. No, you took the opportunity. You got to make the most of it. If he wasn't ready, there's nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong with stepping right from it. But I'm pretty sure that him and his team felt that they were confident taking that fight and moving forward.
And Wendy was the heavier guy. He was heavier in weight, but Austin Williams, I felt like he was bigger muscle-wise. He looked
Yeah.
way stronger compared
No,
to Wendy.
I think Austin was the naturally bigger guy when they
Yeah.
was saying on the commentary. I think respect the winner. I think that wasn't even his weight class that he was even fighting in. So again, he took the risk. He took the risk. You got to give him that. I don't take anything from anybody who gets in that ring, but definitely Austin was the more naturally bigger guy, the more skillful guy, the guy with everything behind him. He had the full training camp because he was preparing for Carlos Damas to begin with. So it is what it is. When he took it on a short notice, credit to him. But I wouldn't. He can still hold his head up high. You know what I'm saying? He went the distance. He learned. Hopefully, he learned something from it. And who knows how what he may take from that fight to make him better as a fighter going into the future.
I'm actually glad Austin Williams did not get to fight Carlos Adams, because now he has more time to prepare for Carlos Adams to try and capture the title.
Right. No. Yeah. I mean, especially honestly with that performance, it was kind of like a little bit questionable in terms of just the grit that he showed. Because again, a lot of people felt that he should have. It could have been an early night. He had his opportunity. He had his moments. But when you're going against a guy like Adamas, who's gonna bring it to you and be more rugged, more physical in there with you, you gotta change gears and show different levels in your arsenal. But like you pointed out, now he has more time. More time to go back to the drawing board and work on some things, change some things up. Probably put a little bit more strength, put a little bit more muscle on himself, get a little stronger. Because Carlos Damas is a totally different breed. Let's be honest. But who knows? Who knows? But again, I still like Ammo. He's young. He still has a lot a lot to show. So we'll just have to wait and see.
I'm actually gonna get Carlos Adams on here one day. I'm in talks with him though. I'm still waiting.
No, that'd be good. No, he's a good dude. Like I said, I haven't spoken to him in a while, but Carlos is a good guy, man. I'm pretty you'll like the conversation with him, man. He's a character at times, but he's a good dude.
Yeah. He has to bring on a translator, he said, though. He doesn't speak
Yeah, you
English.
know what I'm saying. But he's a good dude. He's a good dude, though.
So, what advice would you give to Wendy, say, if he was watching, since you saw that fight? What is one thing you picked out from the fight that he could work on best in training right now?
I mean, for him, I think it was more of a mental thing. You know what I mean? It's because boxing is more mental. He has the tools. You know what I'm saying, he was in there with a guy that was, you know, pretty much touted as a top level prospect, now contender. You know, Amo's been in there with some good guys, with some veterans himself, and some durable fighters. So I wouldn't take much from it in terms of negativity. You know what I mean? I wouldn't feel bad about. I wouldn't feel too bad about it. Obviously, if there was things he knows he can improve on, but that's for every fighter. You know, even the best feel like we can always improve on different things that we may have not done in certain fights. So again, it's boxing. That's just the way it goes at times. There's a winner and there's a loser, and it's not to say that you'll continue losing, but again, go back to the drawing board. You know, gather yourself. Obviously, take some time off. You know what I'm saying, to collect yourself again. But again, once you get it, go back in the gym with some with that fire and motivation, and go and get back to it again. Who's to stop you? Only one that can stop you from basically reaching your goals and your dreams is you.
Now, what advice would you give the amateur fighters who say have a fight in about, like, I would say 5 days from, like, today?
But well, it all depends. Most amateurs that I know, they use it in the gym every day. You know what I mean? Even when they don't have something coming up, most fighters, especially when I was coming up, we stayed in the gym every day. Every day was in the gym. So every day was always working, and we was working on our craft. And but also, what I would tell a fighter going into a fight, like you said, if it's 5 days from now, just go in there, have fun, but also, just do the things that you worked on in the gym. Don't go in there trying to do anything new that you haven't worked on. Have trust in your corner, have trust in your team, because your team is an extra set of eyes on the outside of the ring. So you may not see something that they're seeing. So, have confidence and belief in your team, and then make the proper adjustments as you go along. But for the most part, just go in there and have fun. Like I said, you sparred 100 times now, probably more than likely. You did the work. You put in all the hard work. You know what I'm saying? Just go in there and just do what you've been working on for the last several months or so.
Now, say in amateurs, right? Because the fight's probably going to be 3 rounds, and the first round 2 minutes, second round 2 minute, third round 2 minute,
Right.
and 1 minute rest. So, how many punches should this amateur fighter throw in about,
One thing.
going
Okay.
into
One
the
thing I was
fight?
always taught. One thing I was told was pretty much like I used to always double up on my punch count. Whatever my opponent threw, I made sure to double up, and always make sure to know where you're at in the ring, because you're going by where the judges can see you at, and for the most part, the judges can see you in the center of the ring. So when you're pretty much ready to attack, make sure that you're basically in an area where the judges can see when you most of your work. If you're back against the wall or whatever, the ropes, whatever, so the judges can't really see, much. Because you might have a judge from across, but he can't see anything that's going on. Even the two judges on the side or so forth. So for the most part, I was always taught to always have ring generalship. Like I said, most judges score fights off ring generalship, defense, and basically who had the cleanup punches. Especially now in the amateur system, if you look at it, the amateur system is more closer to the pro game. In terms of where I was coming up, it was more computer-based style. It's completely different now. So again, you want to score most of your shots in the center of the ring, but you want to also be smart defensively. So when you're not ready to basically attack, move around, still be aware, and then because you don't want to just sit there and be a target. No, move around, be defensive, and use the ring and use the whole entire ring as your as your playground.
Now, when you were in the amateurs, right, did you ever fight like a wild opponent? And if you did, how would you fight them?
You know, some of those guys you got to be defensively smart as well. Tie them up at times, but you don't want to get caught. Obviously, you don't want to get called for too much holding, but you got to just basically you got to you know force them to fight your fight. So like for me, I'm a pure boxer. So what I would do is I would use lateral movement, angles, keep turning him, making him run to shots and things. That's because you're gonna get guys like that who's gonna just come directly at you. So you got to use lateral movement, be defensive minded, keep turning him, making him, hit him with shots that he don't see, hit around the guard, change your punch placement and so forth. But just again, just be smart because you might get those shots that you don't see. Those are the ones that hurt the most. So you always got to be aware of what's going on in there.
Now, say if that opponent was taller, you should throw a lot of jabs at
If
him,
that
right?
opponent, if that opponent was taller, you want to change your level. So you want to basically get lower to make him at least come down with you, or force him to throw punches downward to where he's leaving himself exposed up here because he's not bringing it back to his guard. So again, you want to you don't want to be on the outside too much with a guy that's taller than you because more than likely probably has more reach than you as well. So you always want to stay, you always want to lower the center of your gravity, stay close to the chest, and keep spinning him and turning him as well. And then also, if you do happen to be on the outside, make sure you're at a distance where they can't really get to you unless they pressing you or whatever. But you don't want to be too far out where you're getting tagged and then you're not able to get your shots back off.
So now tell me, right? What is a skill every amateur fighter should have?
A skill, um, I would say ring IQ is always a major thing. But I would always say like everything starts with the jab. You see a lot of guys, you'd be surprised like how many fights you could just basically win with the jab. A sharp jab, double it up at time, triple it up. But again, everything starts with the jab. Even right now with the BKFC, everything started with the jab. Because the jab sets everything up. Once you, because the jab can also be a range finder. So you know what I mean. You don't everything doesn't have to land, but you can get an idea in a picture where you want to be at with just your jab. And like I said, you can blind it with your jab. You know what I'm saying? You can like for me, I was always told like with headgear, hit the top of the headgear because it basically pushes the head back, and then also it forces the opponent to put his hands up even higher. Once you get that down, now you got the whole body's exposed. So for me, like work behind your jab. You know what I mean? Even after you're done throwing your shots, go back to your jab to even if you want to get back out to the outside of the back to the center of the ring. Work on the jab, but the jab for me is probably the most important tool you can have in your arsenal.
Now, give me a rating of yourself from your professional boxing debut to your last boxing match.
Um, last boxing, I still think for my professional debut, I came a long way, even to my last match. I mean, like I said again, I went from, let's be honest, even when I came at the Olympics, I wasn't rated highly to do much as a professional. But what I'm saying again, like we were just talking about with the Austin Ammo Williams fight. I didn't allow that to determine who I was going to be moving forward. So for me, I did everything I had to do, and I look at myself as an overachiever. So I became a world champion. I defended my world title. I've beaten top level fighters. So I would say, so I definitely rate my career highly. So I have no complaints.
Now, there's another up and coming fight, right? Tyson Fury is having his comeback fight. What do you think about that?
I don't think much of it. Like Tyson's a good friend of mine. I like Tyson, but I think, like I said, Tyson's going to do what Tyson does. He's saying that he's doing this fight without a trainer, so I think that's funny. I don't know. I want to see how he looks doing that. But again, when I see a guy like that, that's saying that, he's going to do a fight. He doesn't need a trainer for this fight. It pretty much, he pretty much is telling me that. I mean, he's not stupid. Just one thing about Tyson Fury, he's not a stupid fighter. Tyson Fury is a very smart fighter. He wasn't the most athletic fighter, but Tyson Fury always, he had a lot of tools and tricks, and he's crafty. So that's which I like about Tyson. You know what I mean? And with him, he uses his range, his distance. He has fun in there. So with this fight, I just look at it. He just going in there and just to put on a show, have fun, knock some rust off, and then we'll see where he wants to go from there. In terms of the heavyweight division. But again, I don't really think much of this fight. But I'm glad to see that he's coming back.
Well, what do you think about March 28th? We got Thurman and we got I always
Fundora.
mess up his name.
Fundora.
Yep.
I'm going for my man Keith. I like Fundora though. Fundora's a fun fighter, but he's a guy that he doesn't always use his natural attributes. Hey Chris, let me just Chris, I got like I said, my manager's probably in watching the thing, but my manager got me the Adidas sponsorship. So if he's in there, you can talk with him. Look for Wild Card King. But yeah, he's the guy behind all my endorsements and sponsorships. But no, but back to Fundora though. Fundora, he's a fun fighter because he takes risks and chances. You know what I mean? But again, Keith Thurman is a veteran now. He's a veteran. He's been in the bigger fights. He's fought. He's went the distance with the great Manny Pacquiao. He's fought. He's had fight. He fought my guy Sean Porter. And the, Danny Garcia. The list goes on. He's held multiple titles in the welterweight division. So again, it's a good fight. And even now, I still like Keith Thurman because Fundora is not going to make it a boxing match. He's going to want to make it a fight. And I think that plays into Keith Thurman's style because Keith Thurman can be in and out. You know what I mean? And he could throw big shots from with both hands. Fundora, he doesn't like to use his height, so he'll try to get on the inside. I mean, he'll bang with you, but at times he'll get caught in the opening. And like I said, we've seen him get put down by I think was it Brian Mendoza a few years back now. You know what I'm saying? He got put down with a big shot because he gave up his height. And he didn't bring it like you mentioned before. He punched it from the shoulders. He didn't bring it back to his guard. So I think it's gonna be a fun fight for how long as it lasts. But I'm leaning towards Keith Thurman. But we got to see if the ring rust is gonna affect Keith because, like I said, Father Time doesn't wait for anybody. So who knows how it may play out.
So now tell me, right? Did you ever fight with an injury of some sort?
We always fight with injuries. I promise you. I think going into the Frampton fight, I had messed up my hand. I had messed up my left hand going into the Frampton fight. So I had to basically wrap it up a different way when it came down to sparring. I needed to spar. I obviously need to hit pads in the bag. So yeah, I mean, I know for a fact that like the Frampton fight, I definitely had injured my hand. I think even Frampton respectfully had an injury as well going into the fight also. So most fighters, we don't go into a fight 100%. So, but we just find ways to cope with it and work around it, and we just move forward. We just suck it up and move forward.
What about the amateurs?
Amateurs, I don't know. I can't really say. I think though, like over time though, especially during like the nationals and tournaments and things like that. Obviously, you already know once you'll fight today, you win. Okay, cool, but you gotta get back up and you gotta do it the next day. So you may have to go out there and lose weight. You gotta go run. You might even if you go run, you might twist your ankle or something else. You might twist your ankle running, trying to cut weight and things and so forth. So I'm pretty sure there's been plenty of times I've probably been injured as an amateur, but again, it just one of those things where you just shrug it off. Plus, it was like maybe like three rounds tops anyway. So of course you get through it. You may so ice it or whatever, and just move on to the next day.
Now, what do you think about Wilder versus Derek Chisora? Who do you have in that showdown?
I like Wilder. You know what I'm saying? I like Deontay, but again, I don't know how much Deontay has left in the tank. You know what I mean? His last handful of fights haven't been the greatest. We haven't seen that, that monster that with that one shot put everybody out. And Chisora, he's a gritty veteran in his own right. We know he's going to come to fight. So I can't really call it, man. I would like to see the old Deontay Wilder, but again, that just may be it. That just may be the old Deontay Wilder. Just maybe, came and went. But I'm saying, hopefully, like I said again, they always say that the last thing to go for a fighter is his power. So again, if he gets that shot off, who knows what may happen. But I know Chisora is definitely going to come to bring it. He's going to make it a fight. He's going to brawl.
And Deontay Wilder, I feel like Tyson Fury ruined him.
Yeah, I think not even just a physical aspect, because even now when you look, he's still talking about those fights. You know what I mean? I think it's more of a mental thing. If you got a guy that at one point he felt like he was on top of the world and he was invincible. You know, invincible. You know what I mean? Like nobody was beating him. You know, he was going through everybody. And then Tyson Fury was just that, just that kryptonite. You know what I mean? And I think for the most part that fight kind of messed him up a little bit mentally more than anything. I don't like physically. He's always been a tall, slim heavyweight, but he always had the equalizer in that right hand. But I think after the Fury trilogy, it just kind of just threw him off his game, and he just hasn't been the same since then. So I can see what you're saying from that aspect.
And Usyk wants to fight him, Wilder.
I think Usyk just wants to go through fight everybody in that generation realm. But again, is it the fight that we want to see? I like I said, I gotta just wait and see how he looks against Derek Chisora and go from there, honestly. But it's like one of those things also like we wanted to see Wilder and AJ, but that it seemed like that was so long ago now. Like, does anybody really want to see it today? Who knows?
And now Usyk has the up and coming match against the heavyweight kickboxing world champion.
I don't want to see it. I don't. I just seen the WBC. They're regular. You know what I'm saying? They're having it sanctioned as a WBC title fight. I mean, it is what it is. But I tell you right there, the business of that's just the business of boxing. But I'm not really looking forward to that fight. Again, I would like to see Usyk in there's a lot of better fights for him. But again, it's his business. He has done a lot. Don't get me wrong. Usyk has done a lot in the sport of boxing at cruiserweight and heavyweight. He's an Olympic gold medalist, so I give him that all the respect in the world. Just that this particular fight, I'm not really interested in. But again, I would like to, I would like to see him in other fights moving forward. So who knows?
Yeah, and this is just going to be an easy fight for Usyk. He's just going to wipe through this guy like nothing. So
I mean, we hope so, but that's the thing. We would expect him to because you don't want to. You also run the risk of trying to drag out a fight when you this is a guy who's not on your level. So if you do that, it kind of gives you that kind of like a stain on your name. So you like, I think there's more pressure on him to get rid of this guy as soon as possible because if you drag it out or if it looks competitive, he's going to take a hit. And unlike if he was in there with a guy at his level and it was competitive or a close fight, it's a different story. But if you end up making a close fight with a guy that who has no right being in there with you, it could be bad. It could be a bad for your reputation.
So we got another fight coming up, right? Arnold Barbosa Jr. He's versing Sims
Kenny
Jr.
Sims. Kenny Sims.
What do you think about that fight?
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good fight. I know them both personally. Like I said, I came up with Kenny in the amateurs. I've spoken to Arnold plenty of times on the side. Arnold's a good friend of mine as well. I just need like that's a real good fight. That's a real good fight. I think, and it's a fight that they both need. Like they both need to win. Obviously, they both need to win. I think Kenny's last fight was the Oscar Durate fight. Arnold's last fight was Teofimo was his last opponent when he fought Teo. So I think it's definitely a must win situation. Like I said, I always like the obviously the boxer, but again, Arnold's a tough guy. Arnold has won some rugged, hard fights on the road at that. So you can never take anything away from Arnold. Kenny very skillful, very very slick. I think they said it. I think this fight, matter of fact, is at 147. I don't think it's even at 140. I think it's at 147. So again, who knows with the extra weight for both guys, they might feel a lot stronger. I just hope that Arnold is focused, of course, because his manager is Rick Merigian, who I know Rick. I've known Rick since the amateurs because he's Jose Ramirez's manager as well. But we know the issues that Rick and Golden Boy are having on the side with the whole Virgil Ortiz situation. So, I hope that they don't hold that against Arnold. You know what I mean? Because like I said, this is boxing. Boxing can be a dirty game at times. So I just hope that Arnold's, focused and looking forward to getting back on the winning streak, but on the winning road, winning. So again, it's a lot. It's a lot riding on that fight because again, these guys, like you see boxing, the landscape is changing a lot, and a loss can basically put you, can put you way further back than you want to be. But a win can definitely put you in the driver's seat for some big fights. You got Ryan Garcia now; he's a world champion up there. Devin Haney, of course, and so forth.
Now, you think we'll get the second fight?
I think we need the second fight. To be honest, we need the second fight. Too much controversy behind the first one, of course. Even though it got overturned, people still are knocking Devin, of course, for for the outcome of that fight. People still look at it as a, despite the whole allegations with the steroids, whatever, people still look at it as a win for Ryan Garcia. So I think it's a fight that needs to happen. You know what I mean? And those guys have a lot of bad blood. They were what 3-3. They fought 6 times in the amateurs. They three wins apiece between those two. So I mean, it's an easy sell. It's an easy sell. But I wouldn't mind also seeing Ryan versus Shakur. You know, Ryan Garcia definitely has a lot of options on the table.
I think he wants to fight Shakur though.
I mean, he called him out after the fight. But again, you know, if you go on social media, especially with on X, you see him and Devin going a lot of back and forth. I know Ryan's cousin just beat Devin's little brother in the amateurs. I think yesterday. So that they've been going back and forth about that. So again, that fight is an easy sell. There's a lot of bad blood, but I wouldn't mind seeing either fight, but that just shows you right there. Ryan Garcia definitely has a lot of options on the table. I mean, even a Conor Benn fight somewhere can loom down the road. So who knows?
I actually can't believe Conor Benn signed with Zuffa Boxing.
I mean, 50 million, you would too.
But I mean, still though,
For one
Eddie
fight,
Hearn,
for one.
huh?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we get it. Like I said, yeah. But you know, we see him kind of say that he still wants to have Eddie a part of his success in his career. And again, I think Connor takes the money, does what he does against Regis Prograis, goes back to Matchroom and continues his career from there.
Pause for a second.
No, you're good. Now, like I said, I think Conor Benn takes the fight, gets his money, and goes somewhere down the road, goes back to Matchroom and Eddie Hearn. It's only a one fight deal situation, so. But it's crazy that it's on the undercard, so that's a lot of controversy behind it. But and shout out to my man Regis. But like I said, I know a lot of the UFC fighters and a lot of fighters are gonna look at that now and say like, listen, I've accomplished way more than him. They're gonna expect way more money. Let's be honest.
Sugar Sean O'Malley already said something. He was like, I never heard of Conor Benn before, and he's getting paid $15 million.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think it was the brightest thing for those guys to do. But again, I'm not knocking Connor or his management. His management did the right thing by getting his guy the most for his services. So we'll see how it plays out. But it definitely rubbed a lot of people wrong. But it is what it is. What can we do?
And I think they're trying to get people at the end of their career. So have they gave you a call yet?
Nah, nah, I mean, like my manager just got the phone with them. Like we're speaking of getting our own fighters within that realm. You know what I mean? So again, it's always one phone. Like even for me, it's always one phone call away. But I haven't been really entertaining it, or like I haven't really been interested in it. But again, I've been more focused on getting the fighters that I work with in terms of position to being taken care of or promoted. Whether it's Zuffa Boxing, Golden Boy, Top Rank, or whoever. So that's just been our job to do is look out for the fighters. But I haven't been really, looking forward to doing much of anything in terms of boxing, especially with Zuffa. Nothing against Zuffa. Like I said, I got friends that work with them. Tom Lawfer is a good guy that's working over there with Zuffa Boxing. So, and again, he's one of the guys that myself and my manager can call if we have a fighter in mind to work something out to do something with Zuffa Boxing.
Now, do you have anything up and coming in BKFC?
Right now I'm looking at May. We're trying to see if we're gonna get the world title fight around May 15th or May 22nd. So that's the thing. That's what we're looking at right now. Justin Ibarra is the champion, so we're trying to see if that's what the fight that they want to do. I know that he's expressed that he wants to do the fight, so we're just waiting to see if the BKFC is going to green light things and move forward from there. But that's really what I'm looking at right now. So like I said, I haven't really been focusing much on boxing, but and only in terms of helping out some of my guys and fighters that we're working with and getting them the best possible deals as possible.
So after you get this title, right? You said May you could be getting this fight, but what
Right.
would be the next step for you after winning this belt?
Um, I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, they're gonna want to expect the defense because, like I said, right now I'm on a three fight contract with them. I've already gotten one fight out the deal. I mean, yeah, out the way on the deal. So I got two more. So again, yeah, probably looking for the third fight sometime at the end of the year. But hopefully, like again, hopefully the second fight will be on the world title, and we'll just have to see from there.
Now, say after you achieve a title in BKFC, can we see you back in boxing to
I
get
mean,
another title?
anything is possible. Anything is possible. Like I said, I always stay in shape. It's not a big deal for me to, to cut weight. Like I said, I just fought at 135 in the BKFC. I know I could still make 130, 135 in pro boxes. Then, for me, I always stay disciplined. But again, it just has to be, the right move. It has to be in the right fight. But I never close the doors on anything.
Well, my last question for you, right?
Okay.
What is your biggest achievement overall in life?
My biggest achievement overall in life, um, I would say it doesn't have to do with boxing. I would say just have to becoming a father. You know what I'm saying? And trying to be a mentor for, for just not only my own kids but kids in general. Who look up to me. Again, like my brother just texted me. He told me that my nephew went to school with you. So like, before he moved down to Fayetteville. So again, like I said, my nephew looks up to me. So I just try to just set the example for like the younger generation coming up. Like I said, I'm not perfect, but I always express and show my flaws and show things that showcase things that I would like for kids and everyone else watching to look out for as well, and just to do better. So that's been one of my greatest achievements, just being a mentor. Just being a mentor of life.
Well, that's all the questions I have for you and everybody. Today's podcast was sponsored by Long Island Boxing Charities, right? And Montauk Iced Tea, everybody. But Long Island Boxing Charities, I have a partnership deal with them, like a contract deal. And me and Montauk Iced Tea, we have to make a contract deal now. But right now, Long Island Boxing Charities is officially now the main sponsor, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure you go over there, buy some merch, whatever you want to do. Go search up their Instagram and whatever. All right, ladies and gentlemen. It was nice to have you on.
Oh, it's time, bro. And then again, next time when Mike gets the time, tell him we can do it again, man.